and welcome back to Football Made Simple. Manchester United and PSG clashed in a crucial Champions League encounter at Old Trafford. In a delicately poised group, both teams were desperate for a win. A point would have seen Solskjaer's men go through, whilst Tuchel needed a win to remain in a viable position going into the final group match. In the end, it ended 3-1 to PSG thanks to goals by Marquinhos and a Neymar double, whilst Rashford netted for the Reds. The XG indicated it was a deserved win for PSG. But what tactics did both managers use? Let's take a look. And if you want even more content whilst helping to support the channel, consider checking out my Patreon at patreon.com/footballmadesimple. You'll get early access to videos, exclusive videos, as well as access to the upcoming FMS video podcast. A quick reminder of the formations used by both sides, as seen on the OneFootball app. OneFootball will get you match updates, formation updates, as well as player and team stats, and so much more. And the best part is, you can get it absolutely free through the sponsored link in the description below. Let's start by looking at what Victor's PSG did in possession. They did have the majority of the ball, with 56% possession. And for the most part, they looked to build up short through the centre-backs. And initially, United would look to press high, with Fred and McTominay looking to push onto Paredes and Verratti to stop central progression. However, this left space between the lines, an area which Neymar in particular loves to exploit. And the threat of Mbappe's pace in behind prevented United's backline from pushing high to compress the space. So it was the United midfield instead who had to shift deeper to compensate, and as a result, the pressing was less intense. They opted for a 4-4-2 mid-block instead, with Fernandes often pushing high alongside Cavani to press a centre-back each. However, for large portions of the match, Danilo dropped from defensive midfield to be the third centre-back, giving them the numerical advantage deep. Additionally, this meant that Diallo and Florenzi had the space to push right up the pitch to give them consistent width. With a 2 vs 2 in midfield, most of their play came out wide, especially down the left. This is because Kimpembe, when he received the ball, was influential and comfortable driving higher up the pitch as shown in his touch map. This would often mean Rashford would be drawn more central to stop his progression, meaning that Diallo could receive the ball in space and, if unchallenged, look to drive higher. But more commonly, Wan-Bissaka would come wider to confront the man, leaving potential space wide. And by playing with Moise Kean as the focal point, Mbappe and Neymar had more freedom of movement. So, we could see Neymar push higher and wider to drag Lindelof out of position, whilst opening up more space central. Neymar could also drop deeper to the left to create a 2 vs 1 wide left. And we often saw McTominay be dragged across to prevent the overload. Neymar would still look to take on men from these positions, completing a game-high 5 dribbles. McTominay often resorted to the foul to stop Neymar, making 5 fouls without being booked. But with McTominay shifting across, it also meant that a PSG pivot would now be free to receive the ball and look to begin the next phase of play. We saw similar plays on the right, with Martial as a result often being drawn narrower on the pitch when defending. So, Mbappe, when he started higher and wider, could receive the ball to be 1 vs 1 against Tejes high up. This plays into the first goal, with Martial being narrower when Florenzi is deep, allowing Mbappe to be 1 vs 1. At speed, Mbappe takes on Tejes, cutting in and combining with Neymar. Eventually, his deflected shot allows Neymar to finish. And higher up the pitch, both fullbacks tended to give them width. That, combined with Moise Kean taking up the centre-backs, gave the wingers freedom of movement on the pitch, as shown in their heat maps. Mbappe tended to drift into the right half space, high up, and with Martial slow to track, Tejes had to tuck in, meaning that Florenzi could often have space wide to whip in dangerous crosses. He attempted a team-high 6 crosses as a result. And once United were a man down and switched to the 4-4-1, PSG utilised switches of play more often to maximise the width of the pitch, forcing United to cover more ground. But these positions also left them extremely vulnerable to the transition. Danilo played deep, meaning that Verratti and Paredes were the pivots, but both could advance higher when in possession, and this, combined with the high fullbacks, meant that there were clear areas to exploit. So, a man could often pick up the ball between the lines and progress it to the wide regions behind the fullbacks, Diallo in particular. This led to several dangerous situations. This was the main way United caused any danger, but we will quickly touch on what they did in controlled possession. United also primarily looked to play out short, and we saw PSG initially look to press high, going pivot to pivot as well, whilst Ken tried to cut off the route between the centre-backs. But as the game wore on, Neymar's pressing became less intense, meaning that PSG began to drop slightly deeper. And United still looked to build up down the left, and Martial's positioning was key to this. With Verratti and Paredes still looking to press high, Martial tended to move into the left half space between the lines, and if untracked, he could receive the ball, turn and run at the defence. Alternatively, Danilo could move across to cover him, but this would often leave Fernandes or Rashford, who regularly interchanged, free between the lines. So instead, it was Mbappe who was fairly disciplined when defending, looking to move in narrow to cut off the passing channel into Martial. This did allow tears high and wide, and often he found time to receive the ball and would often look for the ball into the centre. He did attempt a game-high 8 crosses, although this does include set pieces. Once United did go a man down, they struggled to regain control of the ball. Fred had looked in danger of picking up a second booking for a while, making it a strange decision from Oli to keep him on. Overall, this is a massive win for Tuchel as he continues to fight for his job. One would expect PSG to win against Istanbul, meaning that the final day encounter between Solskjaer and Nagelsmann's Chargers will be a straight shootout as they look to qualify for the round of 16. But what did you make of the match? What else did you notice? Drop it down in the comments below. As always, I'd like to give a massive shout out to my current Patreons, including Coach Vass and Jacques Edouard, who have recently joined the Ultra tier. But that's all for today, and remember, keep it simple.